Yeah, what's going on? So, I want to start off by saying this. Um, my reality, far as living in Charlotte, is it may be different from other people. Let's just be real. There's roughly about 2.9, close to 3 million people that live in the metropolitan area, or should I say, Metro Charlotte. And everybody's experiences and their reality differs. You know what I'm saying? So just because my reality may not fit or may be different from yours doesn't mean that my reality isn't my reality. And I'm only saying this to get you to understand what I'm about to say. So my reality is, Charlotte is this hippie, laid back, peaceful city. You know what I'm saying? It's really like a small but big city. Now, I'm not saying that Charlotte doesn't get down and dirty at times. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that there's no crime here. I'm not saying that people don't commit crimes, crimes such as murder, burglaries, the R word. I don't want to use it on YouTube, but you know what I mean, assault on women, you know what I'm saying? And all the negativity. I'm not saying that doesn't exist in Charlotte. It does. I think any, city that has millions upon millions of people, or rather metropolitan city that has an area that has several millions of people, there's gonna be crime. You understand? But I can tell you this, out of the several states and cities that I've lived in, you know what I'm saying? And I've lived in, New York, Georgia, specifically Atlanta, Georgia. I stayed a little bit in Orlando, Florida, and I've lived in all of the major cities here in the state of North Carolina. I can tell you out of all of the places that I've lived in, that Charlotte is to me, in my opinion, in my reality, the most peaceful, laid-back, hippie city that I've lived in. I feel very comfortable here. You understand? And that's real talk. And the reason why I'm saying this is because, a lot of people have came here and have said, yo, man, this is a beautiful city, it's clean. And I never understood it. You understand? Like, because I'm so used to it. I'm so used to going up to Uptown and seeing them building new buildings and, there's no dirt or, and, I mean, of course you're going to have homeless people, but the homeless people, I mean, some of them are well taken care of. They, the city of Charlotte have put them up for a couple months in hotels. You know what I'm saying? So it still bugs me out to hear, people, visitors that come here and talk about how clean and safe and how much of a good time they have here. See, I'm just used to that, And the reason why I'm saying this is because, oftentimes I can say that we kind of abuse the laid back, quiet, peaceful, city that we live in. And I say that because, when it's time to party, it's time to party. And I've been in certain areas where, and it doesn't make a difference what racial background or ethnic background you're from. I've seen blacks, whites, I'm talking about Asians, Latinos, I've seen them get down. When people party in Charlotte, it's a different type of party. And the reason why it's a different type of party, because like I said before, it's a peaceful, laid-back city. And even the cops are mad chill. I just really think, in my opinion, in my experiences, that the type of behavior, I'm not saying that I go ape shit in Charlotte, but I'm saying I can never, some of the things that I do in Charlotte, I can never do anywhere else. I can just tell you straight up. So when you get here and it's time to party, just know that people, charlatans, they party. Which brings me to this point. I saw on the news, and I knew eventually they were going to do a story about this. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? Because that's just how Charlotte is, right? So they have this thing called, let me tell you about the news story. So this news story they had on this apartment complex called a Savoy. Now, Savoy is like it's these big major apartments. It's just like these big buildings like they build everywhere in Charlotte. They have some of them and Uptown, South Boulevard, Central Avenue, South Park, Ballantyne. The list goes on. All over in Charlotte, as well as they're trying to build some in Huntersville. I think like in the downtown area or something like that. And the people in Huntersville they're not trying to have it because they just know that it's going to be a bunch of young people and a bunch of traffic and this and that and so forth, right? So a bunch of chaos is what they're trying to say, and trying to imply. So, they had a story on the news yesterday, last night, on the local news here. And they were talking about the apartment called Savoy, which is managed by this management called Gray Star, if I'm not mistaken. And they had two tenants, that were on the news, and they were talking about short-term leases. Now, short-term leases in Charlotte, what they're doing, and I don't know if this is happening in any other city, cities, nationwide or whatever have you, but specifically the Savoy, but there are a lot of apartments that are doing this in Charlotte, right? So what they're doing to the Savoy, this, the apartment building, apartment, I don't know what you want to call them, But anyway, they're turning them into kind of like hotels. So you have these short-term leases where you can rent an apartment for a day, 3 days, a month, 6 months, 3 months, 12 months. And the tenants that are there that have that's leasing it out for 12 months, they're trying to get the short-term lease change, because the short-term leases are bringing in party goers. So, prime example, if you wanted to throw a party, basically, the Savoy is a hotel / Airbnb, where if you want to have a party or something like that, you'll be like, well, I don't want to have it at my house. Why don't we just go to an apartment such as the Savoy and rent it out, apartment, and I'm pretty sure some of them are furnished and unfurnished, So let's just rent out 3 days and just party, blast our music and all the rest of that stuff. And at the end of the day, at the end of the 3 days, we could just go back home. And the apartments are going for $125 daily. Now, the reason why they're doing this is because the Savoy, for an example, their apartments to lease out is anywhere between $1,600 to $6,000 a month. So, of course, a lot of people are not able to afford that rent. So to kind of balance it out and to get their money until they fill in those 12-month leases, 14, 16-month leases, those long lease terms, they rent the apartment out. So, prime example, you may be on the first floor and it's a vacant apartment right next to you. And your apartment, you're leasing your apartment out for 12 months. This person right here can just come in, rent it out for a day, and bounce. Another person the same apartment that's right next to you that's vacant, can rent that apartment out for a day or two. And they may be, I'm just being real. You know what I'm saying? We keeping it about $150, right? They may be turning it into a brothel. They may turn it into a party. They may turn it into a FS, orgies, whatever. They don't care. Because they're only going to be there for 2-3 days. While you sign a lease for 12 to 14, 16 months. And that's what the two tenants were complaining about. We paid a lot of money to live here. And these guys, they could just rent out an apartment, a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, for 3 days and bounce. And they were complaining about how they leave the trash out in the hallways, and how they blasting their music out, all night long, and how the two tenants were like, we would knock on the door and say, could you keep it down, but we scared to, catch some flack for that, you know what I'm saying? And I get it, you knock on somebody's door, well, for at that point in time, they have the right to be there, and you knocking on their door, say, hey, could you keep it quiet, and they're like, I don't have to keep it quiet, you get into an argument, next thing you know, it gets all out of hand and somebody's gonna get hurt. That's what it usually leads to. You know what I'm saying? So the best bet, I think the two tenants that was on the news had mentioned that they called the cops at one time or whatever have you. But man, the cops in Charlotte, man, I've seen them in action. They're gonna do their job, but at the same time, you can't. You could cite them for playing the music on loud or whatever have you, but you can't unless they're really causing a big disturbance. It ain't too much you can do. That plain and simple. The reason why I'm making this video is to forewarn you, because I know a lot of you all want to move to Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? And you don't want to really get plugged into home ownership at this point in time. So you're like, you know what? I want to just get an apartment. And some of the places that you might want to get an apartment at, such as Uptown and South Boulevard, these are popping places. These are places where you really don't need a car. You have the Lynx rail that's there. You have it where you could just walk outside, and up the Uptown area and South Boulevard, South End specifically, please, you walk outside and walk down several feet down the street. You got your grocery store, your bars, your clubs, and all the rest of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to forewarn you that when you start looking for an apartment, make sure that if you plan on signing a 12 months lease, a 14 months lease, check and see if these apartments have short-term leases. Because if they do, you're going to go through the same type of shit that these guys went through. Those two tenants that I was talking about. And it's just that plain and simple. And I'm telling you, man, it ain't too much you can do. When Charlotte parties, they party. That plain and simple. There have been several pool parties that I bumped into years back when I used to do Grubhub and the Postmates and all of that mess. And I would drop off food to these places like Stonewall Station, that apartment building, and I think I did the Savoy. I did a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? Uptown 550, which is off of Stonewall Drive, street or whatever. The Element or whatever that joint is, around Ramir Park and all of that, man. All those areas in the summertime, boy, they got pool parties. It's people in the hallway drinking. It's people outside drinking. It's just a whole big party, and it's not just one particular race that's causing the rowdiness and the ruckus. It's everyone out there. That's the crazy thing about it. Charlotte is a very diverse city, so it's normal to see in a crew, in a crew, a black person, a Latino person, an Asian person, a white person. It could be all different races as well as genders. When Charlotte parties, we all party together. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't gonna lie, I participated at times. But I just wanted to let you all know. I thought that this was a video that I definitely needed to do. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to get caught up. And being that you may be an introvert, being that you may be a laid-back person, a peaceful person that just wants your quietness, you don't want to be bothered with people. You want to work, come home, and if you want to get into some mess, then you want to leave your apartment, you know what I'm saying, and go into the mess, into the chaos. But once you're done partying and doing whatever you want to do, you want to leave that chaos and go back home to peace and quiet. Well, I'm telling you, if that's your plans, and you plan on living in an apartment, and a decent one at that, you better check, these apartment complexes to see if they have short-term leases, such as the one that they have at the Savoy, for an example. Apartments. Straight up. Because, personally, man, I couldn't see myself. And then, man, let me tell you something. In the Uptown area, South End, those joints in South Park. I forgot the name of them. That's like right across the street from South Park Mall. They are hitting you in the head. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling you, I'm gonna start doing apartment reviews straight up. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go into these different apartments and I'm gonna show you all, all of the amenities and walk into a 1-bedroom, 2 bedrooms and show you all of that. You know what I'm saying? But these joints, they're going, I'm telling you, and to stay in a decent area too, and sometimes in the hood too. They be hitting you in the head. Stay in a decent area. The apartments from a 1-bedroom is starting out like no less than $1,500 to $1,600 a month for a 1-bedroom. That's real talk. And when I saw on the news, they were talking about the Savoy, they start off with $1,536 per month for a 1-bedroom, and it goes all the way up to $6,000 a month. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. But that's what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be straight up 100% real with you. I'm really considering on like getting an apartment for like 2 to 3 days, to just like, I'm serious, like bust out some videos, times where I'm focused on working out, because I live in the Still Creek area. But if I could get one of them apartment joints for like 2-3 days and I'm like focused, please, I'll drive up, get the joint, right? Go work out at the Y. You know what I'm saying? I could just walk across the street, walking distance. You know what I'm saying? This is off of South Boulevard, not too far from Uptown, and it's walking distance from South End. And I got the Lynx train right there. You know what I'm saying? I could just park my car in the garage. You know what I'm saying? And go to the Y. You know what I'm saying? I don't really eat out like that, so I could go to the Harris Teeter off of South Boulevard. You know what I'm saying? Get my food and get whatever I need to get. You know what I'm saying? Come back to the little joint that I rented out for like 2-3 days, bust out videos, you know what I'm saying? Do interviews, other YouTubers or content creators. I'm just bust it out, turn that apartment joint for like 2-3 days, you know what I'm saying? Turn it into a studio. Straight up. And I think that's what people are doing. People that are not signing, that are on this short-term lease thing, and you don't even, from what I'm hearing, from what I heard on the news, you don't really have to, like check-in is like 4 p.m. And I think you go to a kiosk and you type in a different, a number, and you open the door, the little door joint, and you get your key. So you don't even have to deal with, human beings. You get your key and you go to your apartment, whatever. And then once it's done, you put the key back into the kiosk and you're done. And I think you pay for your 2-3 days or whatever, however many long days or a month you want to be there. I think you do all that online. So I'm really thinking about doing that. Straight up. Turn that joint, turn an apartment that they got, short-term leases for. Like, I'll get it for 3 days. You know what I'm saying? It may be like, 3 days may be about, $354, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Taxes, include taxes, all that stuff. It may run me about $400-$500. It's a good investment. You know what I'm saying? I bust out. I'm talking about like I work from sun up to sundown straight 3 days. But you got to think about it. I'm doing that. But just imagine somebody else. It may be a music producer. He may say, "Yo, man, I need a studio. I don't want to really have these people come into my house. Man, I'm gonna go ahead and rent out one of them short-term leases joints, them apartment joints for a whole month. And I'm just gonna have people come in and we're gonna do beats and we're gonna rhyme and sing and all the rest of that stuff." Like, you just don't know. And then let's be real, it's people. Please, let me tell you something. When I went to Miami, the last time I went to Miami, and I'm not dry snitching or whatever, because I ain't mentioning the guy's name, but this guy was renting out his apartment as an Airbnb. Real talk. So, who's to say that somebody may not rent the whole month out, right? Let's say for an example now, the whole month may cost him about $5,000. And then he turns around and Airbnbs that whole month slot, you know what I'm saying? Or get someone to come in, and he charges $8,000. That's an extra $3,000. People do that. You just got to be aware. You know what I'm saying? Because you just don't want... Yo, let me tell you something. I know how it is. I lived in apartments before. I know how it is to live beside, like, young people that really don't give a damn. You know what I'm saying? I can only imagine living around young people. Not only do they not give a damn, but they're only there for about 3 to 4 days. I know it's going to be chaotic. Or possibly 2 weeks. Compared to me being there for 12 months, 14 months, 16 months. Yeah, man. So I'm just giving you the heads up. You understand? Other than that, more videos to come. My name is Langston 2092. I want you to like, comment, subscribe. Definitely share this video.